Reef light flickers like souls on stone. A narrow body threads the coral maze, rising just enough to taste the current, then falling back into blue shadow. No bubbles, no hurry, only measured glides between ledges, a pause at a crevice, a sudden jab, and a fish is swallowed whole. Minutes stretch. The diver does not surface. This is a reptile underwater using time as camouflage, turning one breath into room to hunt. In that quiet geometry lives a promise of lung power, the reptile that holds its breath for hours, if the body can make the air last and the water yield. The tropics spin out in lagoons and drop-offs, where tides fold over coral and seagrass. Here, an air-breathing hunter owns a paradoxical home. Life spent at sea, lungs charged at the surface. A single nostril pair faces up with valved lids. A paddle tail trades friction for thrust. Skin sheds salt and resists fouling. Some lineages give birth in open water. Others haunt reef edges and channels. Only when the pattern resolves does the name lock in. Sea snakes, marine reptiles, engineered for depth without gills. Sea snake lung. Power. The reptile that holds its breath for hours is the steady thread in all of it, an anatomical reach that turns a single inhalation into a patrol, a stalk, and a return. Here is the paradox, stated plain. How has the sea snake's respiratory system evolved to outlast other air-breathing marine hunters? The core is a single right lung that runs most of the body length, its rear section ballooning into a compliant sac for buoyancy control and reserve air. Along that length, a dense respiratory surface exchanges gases while the tail steers. Evidence suggests cutaneous uptake contributes, modest but real, especially for carbon dioxide washout, extending submergence. Heart rate drops, blood shunts toward brain and working muscle. Digestion idles. Typical sea snake diving bouts can run tens of minutes, but documented stints stretch far longer when water cools. The animal rests or current shelters exertion. In such windows, a marine snake breath hold can carry an entire hunt across the reef without a single break for air. Sea snake physiology supplies the ledger. Oxygen stored in blood and lung, carbon dioxide buffered in fluids, and movement tuned to keep the balance positive. The feat repeats across species, tides, and seasons, yet the margin stays razor-thin. One mistake, and the need for air arrives before the exit does. 3 explanations lead. First, the lung as multi-tool. This is not a simple balloon. It's a variable ballast, reservoir, and exchanger in one. By sliding the internal air column forward or back through subtle rib and muscle shifts, the animal trims pitch and depth without strokes, saving oxygen. When stillness is possible, the long exchange surface does quiet work, trading molecules while metabolism idles. This sea snake lung adaptation pays twice. Less effort to hold position and less oxygen burned to do it. The trade-off is fragility. A fouled or compressed section reduces both range and control, and injury turns precision into drift. Second, dive response meets low-cost hunting. Like mammals at depth, the diver shows bradycardia and peripheral vasoconstriction, classic energy triage. But the tactic adds reptile-specific economy. Body temperature follows water. Cooler layers lower demand. Short bursts of motion alternate with glides in lee-side eddies. Prey choice matters too. Eels, gobies, and small reef fishes can be cornered in tight spaces where a burst and pin replace a long chase. In this frame, sea snake diving is architecture plus behavior, a body built to store air and a schedule that spends it wisely. The limit shows when current rises or prey stays in the open. Cost spikes and the clock wins. Third, extra pathways and chemistry. Studies indicate the skin of some species allows notable oxygen uptake and efficient carbon dioxide release, especially near the head and neck where vessels crowd the surface. A vascularized mouth lining may help during quiet holds. Blood chemistry leans toward deep buffers against acidity, flattening the curve of rising CO2 that normally forces ascent. Scientists still debate the size of these effects across taxa, and nobody knows why closely related species show different endurance under the same reef. Sea snake physiology is not one number. It is a set of knobs tuned by ancestry and place, sometimes rewriting what we thought we knew about reptile limits at sea. Behavior stitches these systems into a hunt. The diver loads the lung at a calm surface, valves closed until the last instant. Then a slow sink into shadow resets the silhouette. Movement hugs structure, riding the low-pressure side of coral heads where drag is low. When a target shows, the body becomes a spring. One burst, one coil, and stillness again. Marine snake breath hold is preserved by cadence, spurts wrapped in glides, minutes braided into a continuous thread. When the balance tilts toward air, ascent is vertical and brief, a periscope routine with only nostrils exposed. Then the curve back down. Each pass is quiet, almost untraceable. Prey and predators miss the graph the body is drawing. Risk is constant. Warm water raises metabolic rate. Stress burns the reserve early. Toxins and nets erase options. Some lineages seek freshwater lenses after storms to drink, complicating a schedule already ruled by breath. Even so, the template holds because it is elastic. The same sea snake lung adaptation that trims depth also salvages mistakes. A quick pitch shift buys seconds to clear a surge channel before oxygen debt calls the surface. Sea snake diving remains effective because it is not brute force, it is fine control. The surface brightens, then dims as cloud shadow moves. A narrow head rises, inhales once and vanishes. Can one breath carry you through an entire hunt? The reef answers with each quiet patrol. Sea snake lung. Power, the reptile that holds its breath for hours. Persists while lungs reach the length of bodies and behavior spends air like gold. If reefs heat, if currents quicken, if prey fields spread, the arithmetic may fail, and what felt inevitable will look impossible to explain. For now, marine snake breath hold, sea snake physiology, and a body honed for the in-between keep the hunter where rivals cannot follow. Reptile underwater, outline erased, and the surface only a place to begin again.